All right, good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming to Cogitate's monthly webinar meeting for the Pro Fund Accounting software. My name is George Lusher, President of Cogitate, and I am your moderator today. All right, so let's begin. Today, we're going to be covering updates. The question has been asked me many times is, what does it take to convert to your MyWork, to the new time card system? And then we're going to have a presentation on ID.me. Just cover the basis for next time. Next webinar will be August 7th at 10 a.m. Again, topics. We'll always talk about the latest updates. So if we look at what the current list of updates are, we show that we have, and I want to just highlight these. We have two reports that were created, one called post-payroll or payroll post-validation report. It doesn't have a PR at the beginning, so it's kind of at the top of the list of when you look at your payroll reports. And this one's very helpful to run to just kind of get an idea if there's, some kind of, something going on fishy with somebody's rate, or making sure that if they're going to vacation, that the right account numbers are being, assessed in there. So it's been very helpful for a lot of places to run it after the posting, or, usually they run this right after they run an import. From the old PFA Works. And then we updated the open invoice report, which is an AP report, to look at the new ways that invoices can be open. So it does a very good job at doing this. We combined several open invoice reports to do it, and eventually those will be dropped off, but we would like you to at least run this report to make sure it's functioning at your place, and does the things that you wanted to show for detail. Then the biggest other thing we did was in the payables, we did a filter on the vendor only, and this kind of caught people by surprise, but it's kind of where we're heading as we're going forward. So if I go into payables and I go to my vendors list, so what pops up here by default now is only active vendors. So the status of A is all you're going to see in my vendor list. Now, if you do need to see a vendor that isn't in A, we put the filtered here on this button called filter. So you notice it's kind of like dimmed right now. If you click it, it's okay. It didn't undim today, but it did include now if I go to here, my status, I should see people that now are not. Yeah, I show my inactives now. So again, the idea of this was so that if I didn't want to have these in here and be able to key these in, it would come off of this list by clicking on the filter. So there, I filtered it. So now if I go back to my status report, I don't have any I's, inactives. I uncheck it. Now my inactives show up at the top. So it's just a quick way of getting rid of them out of the list. But the idea being here is that we felt that most people don't want to be actively working with inactive vendors anymore. So there's probably a lot of vendors you may not want to have active. It's okay that they're marked as inactive, at least they're still there. So the history and all that is still intact, but at least it's not in your active listing that you're doing in here. So you should be able to go through a lot of different places, and then you can change their status by, I believe it is right here, status. You can just change it to inactive and then save it. All right, so then the other updates that we've done, that was the bigger one to show. The barcode scanner tab, it's kind of hard to show because I don't have it set up, but basically if you're using the new barcode and you're doing the import, we did update something in the scanner so that it shows the tab correctly at the beginning. Okay, anything else that we wanted to cover? No, the two reports are big. We updated the Excel to save a set, but I want to talk. I'm going to cover that in a bigger in a couple of months when it's more when the polish has been added to it. We put it out early so that it would be available for those who need something to right away. But again, the export to things, call us if you want something special in there, and we'll be able to provide you a way to dump out some data to Excel directly. So my work, a lot of folks have been questioning the my work and what is when they're saying, okay, I'm ready to switch over to the web-based version. First of all, it's not a total switchover. It's not like you can't use the old one, and you can use both of them at the same time if you wish. Well, there's a few steps we want to make sure that if you do that, and then you can migrate your people from the old one into the new one. So let's just cover the steps that I've kind of outlined. You contact Cogitate, whether Brett, myself, an email, a phone call, and you make sure that we generate an initial quote to you. The reason we're doing this is just so that everybody's on board with how the pricing is going to work and how it's going to affect your billing as it goes forward. The quote's going to have any prorated fee for because if you're only paying support on a monthly or on a annual basis or a semi-annual basis or quarterly basis, we'll prorate up to that first payroll. We'll prorate up to the first quarterly payment, or to your next payment, in other words, and then also include on there what your payments will be from that point forward on your schedule. But we'll only send you a bill when it comes when we get the signed quote back to do it. So the reason for the quote is that we can get rolling right away. We get the signed quote back, then we can start doing the work without having a check actually sent to us. So then the second step is getting with your IT place to get a static internet IP address and port. I'm going to cover that in a little bit more detail in a minute, so that you have an understanding of what it is that is. So you have a better chance of asking for the right thing. And then make sure your IT is either on call and has the firewall settings to do it, to allow that IP and port to pass through. So again, I'll talk a little bit about that as we get to it. But the idea here is most places are going to want to have a firewall, and it's important that you do have a firewall on this IP address that you're going to get. And it's important that we have the ability to have the one machine get the pass through that it's supposed to get. There's a lot of networking involved, and it can get very complicated very quickly. But just remember, the IP address that you're going to get, the static IP comes from your internet provider, not from your IT. So whether it's AT&T, Comcast, there's the other one. Whatever it is that you're getting your internet from, and you only need one for works. Basically, it's just one wherever the server that has your data for the road commission is at. That's kind of the piece that you don't. So if you have like 5 garages, each garage does not need one. Only one that needs one is the actual server. As far as converting, as far as the my work process is going to be. Okay, you return a signed copy of the quote to Cogitate. We'll then start sending. We'll send an official invoice to be paid at that point. Again, you got to take it to your board and all that. But then we'll install. At that point, we'll start the kickoff. We'll get and install the software and enable the access to the My Work website. So essentially, all we need to do is just have the signed copy to get the ball rolling. The fourth step is you'll kind of need to figure out what 2 to 3 character prefix code you're going to want your employees to sign in when they use to sign in. So right now in the current system, they type in, their employee number 156, and they put a 4-digit PIN in. So they put in, let's just make it simple, 1, 2, 3, 4. When you convert over to MyWorks, they're going to have to say who you are. So let's say you're Van Buren. So your 2 to 3 character code might be VBC for Van Buren County. And then it would be 015, or then it would be a space 156. So there's like a little piece of 3-digit, code that they need to key in right before keying in their employee number. And then once they get that put in, then when the first time they signed in with their 1, 2, 3, 4 PIN, it'll stop and ask them for a real deal password, where they'll put in their own internal password. It's a 5-character password, one uppercase character, and is required in it, and then one number. So that's pretty much all that's in there. So that's kind of step 4, getting the prefix code, figure out what you want to use. And you can change it. It doesn't have to stay the same. It's got to be, it'll have to be unique, and you're not going to know what other people pick, but we will. We'll make sure it is. Think about that beforehand, and that way you'll know when we get to that point. It won't be a 2-day discussion to delay it even further. Then inside of your software, you'll need to go to setting up the My Work permission for each employee, and then reviewing the templates. So kind of a preview, and you could do this now. If you have the current one, you actually have access to this. But if we go into payroll and we go to My Work permissions, until you've got the online, you won't be able to test it too well. But basically, the idea here is you'll be clicking on employee. This permissions works differently because one of the things that we were having issues with before was if you wanted pieces of inventory, you had to explicitly specify every piece of inventory, and that got to be very large in the amount of data that was being transmitted. So now we say, okay, we start at a table level where you either permit none of it or you permit all of it. So you could say this person needs all of inventory, all equipment, and payroll types. They don't need any payroll types, and they want all templates. Then you build what's called the exception handling, where you come in here and then you would modify this person from here. So first thing I'll do is save that off, and then we'll modify it. And when we modify it, now I'm going to have exceptions. So inventory, I'm making an exception. So inventory, we break it down by different categories at this point, based on your category. And so if I come in here and I say like this says that this person, because his table says he has everything, this says now he does not have this one because it's checked. So it kind of works in, there's a little bit of logic that has to do it. Then you can click save, and then you can view what their permissions are. So if you go into inventory and you go to the fuel, you'll see that the one I checked, the Brimley, they don't have access to Brimley, but they have access to everything else. So it works the same thing with templates. So for instance, payroll types, I didn't give them any payroll types. So when I'm trying to view what they currently have, they don't have any. So if I cancel the view and I go back to modify, and I go to payroll types and I say, okay, they're going to have, we're going to give them personal time, regular time, sick time, and vacation times, and then we save it. Now remember, at this point, I said they don't have access to any. Now I'm saying these are the exceptions, and so I have those 4 checked. Save, and then if I go back to view permissions, now I'll see there's the payroll ones that they have permissions to. So you can always say view permissions to see what it is they do have permissions to, without having to actually be running it. But you could get this all set up beforehand if you currently have the older version of the time card, the PFA MyWorks. We'll set up the MyWork permissions. And review templates. Reviewing templates. A lot of places they kind of, they took templates a little bit, direct. So when you get on with us, I would like to have us help you kind of review how you're doing your templates to try to minimize as much, extra things your employees have to set up. So there's places that have, quite a few steps to go through, and there might be some shortcuts we can take, that we've kind of gleaned over the last little bit, dealing with your templates and what the employees have to put in. But, we would want to, those are going to be covered on an individual basis. So I can't really talk about too much here, as far as, galactic, everybody does it this way. So now we're going to do it this way. And then there is a step in here that when you're done and you want to bring over the old time card works time cards so an employee can view them in the new format. We do have a utility up in tools, convert time cards. And basically you just start and run it, and it will take every available PFA Works MyWorks time card and convert it to the format of the new MyWork time card format. So that way they can still see their old, if they want to type in an old date and see their time card from way back when, they can. Okay. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about what this IP address is, and so you can kind of get an understanding what it is we're asking for, and you can get kind of a flow for how does this new MyWork program work. So we're going to have your employees, they're on desktops, they're on cell phones, they're on tablets. Then we have the MyWork cloud, which is where the MyWork application is that they're going to. And then there's your server. So these are the three parts that, were put together. This is where all your data is. This is where all the employees are stored. This is where the passwords for the employees are stored. This is where their time cards are stored, is right here on your server. So your employees use the standard web HTTP to talk to the MyWork website. So they're on their phone, they're on their tablet, they're at a browser, they're using, Chrome, Firefox, Mozilla, Safari to talk to the MyWork website. So they do their login. Then when MyWorks needs to get data from your server, this is where this IP address comes into place. So MyWorks will ask your server, hey, give me your password for the employee 156. Your server will send that back to MyWork. MyWork will digest what their server sent back, validate what the user typed in, and allow them to move forward in the application. But this happens a lot, during the process for each employee. So there's a lot of traffic that goes back and forth directly to your server. But to make that happen, we need a static TCP IP address and port, because the MyWork cloud needs to know how to get to your server. And that's what this is all about, is a static IP address and port. So remember, the static IP address is only provided by your internet provider. So if you have like an IT shop, they don't do it. And then the port is a number between 5,000 and 6,300. We defaulted it to 45,000 as the number, but you can choose any number you want. You just got to let us know what number it is you picked. And then you have to make sure that your server is going to have a firewall that kind of sits in between all this activity, and it's got to allow whatever port number you pick to come through that firewall. So that kind of gives you an understanding, how the MyWork works, with your, directly to your server. So that way there's no delay. It's really kind of slick, as if you talk to the people who got it, it really works pretty slick. All right. So next, first I want to, any questions about all of that converting and what it is that's going to happen when you did, how to get to the, getting us to get going on the new MyWorks or the new MyWork. Keep blurring out. Let's start talking about this new thing that the government has come up with, or the government is utilizing, called ID.me, and why you need one. So I'm going to turn it over to Paul, who is going to take this.
So I am here to talk about the new IRS filing requirements and ID.me. So starting in the tax year of 2023, the IRS is reducing the number of returns a taxpayer may file without requiring them to file electronically from 250 down to 10. So that means that, and that 10 is an aggregate of all your returns, not just 10 of each individual form. So forms included are W-2, 1099, 1094, 1095, and others, but the main ones are, of course, 1099, W-2, and the ACA. These new rules do go into effect in December 31st, 2023. So to get started, the government introduced a new login called ID.me login. And it's your one-stop shop login for all things related to the government, including several states have adopted it. Obviously, the IRS has it, and the SSA also uses it. So you will no longer need individual IDs to log in. It's just a one-stop ID. And in the IRS, you can use your ID login for personal taxes, their e-file for the 1099 forms, the ACA, their new AIR portal, and then they also have other IRS e-services. The main two portals we're going to talk about today are the 1099 IRIS portal and the 1094, 1095 AIR portal. To sign up for ID.me, you just go to irs.gov and they'll have a button that says sign into your account. And then and once you click on that, there'll be another button that says sign into your account online. And it'll say sign in with ID.me or create new account, and you'll choose create new account. Signing up for ID.me is pretty straightforward. It's no different than most signing processes, except for there is a verify identity from the IRS. There are two different ways to do that. The one that they recommend that I did was a self-service where you answer some questions, use your phone to do a face scan. And then the second option is you schedule a video call with an IRS agent. It doesn't take that long to complete. If you choose a video call, you can wait online and the next IRS agent that becomes available will help you, or you can schedule a time. They'll have a schedule there, so you can schedule a time if that is convenient for you. So it's not
Can I interject one thing, just to make sure everybody's aware?
Yep.
ID.me is not owned by the federal government. It is a third-party company that is actually providing those services that the government is utilizing. Just to be sure, just so you understand.
Yes.
That you're not talking with the federal government when you are talking with an ID.me agent. So
actually, you are talking to an IRS agent.
That's for the IRS site application part. But yes, but go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, yes. All right. So as I said before, once you have created your ID, ID.me, you can log in, and the two different portals that I'm going to cover today again are the Affordable Care Act AIR, or they call it the Affordable Care Act Information Return portal, and then their IRIS portal, which is their Information Return Intake System portal. Those are the two portals we're going to talk about. So once you log in, your home screen should look something like this, but it will just have the individual on here, and you can click on the individual and you'll see, and it'll take you to their management, where you can see your applications and apply for a new one. Now, to apply for a new one, you go the drop down and there'll be a list of different applications. The ones that you should choose are, they have the IRIS for the TCC application, and the Affordable Care Act AIR TCC application. Now, if you don't do 1094, 1095s, you don't report those, you don't have to do the AIR system, but you do need to do the IRIS TCC, and because that includes your 1099 e-file. The application steps are very similar for both portals. You will need two people to sign up for ID.me, as they both require 2 responsible officials, so you will need definitely 2 people. When you're filling out the information, they will ask you what role you want to select. You have 3 different options: the issuer, transmitter, or software developer. You want to select the issuer, as that gives you the ability to transmit the returns for the company that is listed on the application, aka the road commission. If you have to do the ACA application, there is 2 different methods you can choose from. They have what's called the A2A and the ISUI for ACA Internet Transmitter. Please choose the ISSUI for ACA, as that's the one that gives you access to the AIR portal. And currently we are going to be producing the electronic file for the AIR system. For the 1099 IRIS portal, there's only one option, and that will give you access to the CSV file upload. Once you have completed your application and both responsible officers have signed the application, the IRS will send a letter to the address you have provided that will have your TCC on it. Just so you know, only one person has to actually fill out an application. Both people don't have to fill out an application, just one has to, and the other person, it'll automatically show up as an application if they're listed as a responsible officer. And so once you have been officially, your application has been completed and the IRS has approved it, your homepage will now look like something like this, where you'll have the different portals, and you can go down here and select the ACA or the IRIS TCC, and that'll take you to the portal's homepage. So this is what the ACA AIR portal looks like. It's very basic. You can either, upload your ACA forms or check the transmission status. And then obviously this is, you need to upload the manifest and upload the forms. Again, Cogitate will provide both the manifest and the upload form e-file for you. So all you have to do is generate the file in ProFund and just upload it. It's not that difficult. We will give you that file to upload. And then for the 1099 IRIS, this is kind of what your homepage looks like. You have the CSV. You can actually enter in all the information manually if you want, but we will be providing the CSV file. So all you have to do is upload that, and that's kind of all I have to do for the IRS. And now again, if there's any errors, you can always call us, because they will tell you if the transmission right away, if there was an error in the upload. So I also want to point out that a lot of this is very new. This IRIS portal was just released in January of 2023, so there's still maybe some issues with it. So far, I have not encountered any, but I have heard that there could be some issues. We will be making these resources available. The first one is on how to sign up. It's a very good publication on kind of the details on how to sign up. There's a video on how to use the portal. You can click on a link and that'll go to the you can just click on signing with the IRS. So there is plenty of information available with the IRS. So and there's also a ID.me help that'll explain how to sign up with how the Internal Revenue Service works with ID.me. So if you need help with that. feel free to use that. Again, these links will be made available. So again, it's a new system. It's not that difficult to use. And again, Cogitate will be providing the files. So we'll have a utility that will generate the files. So all you have to do is run the utility and it'll give you the files to upload. And once we finish developing the utility, obviously we'll give you, we'll probably have a webinar on that as well.
The biggest thing we wanted to make sure is that everybody gets started by getting these ID.me's, because while they don't take a long time to get, it's just a headache if you have to, you know, on January 3rd, get your damn ID.me. You know, the ID.me is the thing that is get started on it now while you have a lot of time to, you know, because we had some issues trying to set up the IRIS system because it was so new. That, you know, they said, oh, here it is. And then we tried to log in. We couldn't get to it. We had to get a call to them to figure out what was going on and get the link set up right. So the main thing is, you know, get started early. We just want to let you know this is coming.
You are now working smarter with ProFund Accounting. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more content like this.